Your local comic shop is closing, or maybe it already closed, or maybe it's closing next month. And it has nothing to do with Amazon killing brick and mortar shops. It has everything to do with how Marvel and DC decided to market their covers. For 60 years, covers were a promise. The image on the front told you what the story inside was about. The cover was the handshake between publishers, retailers, and readers. And then, not so suddenly, the rules changed. This isn't a story about variant covers being annoying or confusing. It's a story about a system built at the publisher level that systematically poisoned the relationship between cover and story, and then used that broken promise to trap retailers in a rigged game they could never win. You feel it as a reader when a cover lies to you. Retailers feel it in their invoices, and the industry feels it every time another shop disappears. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why your favorite shop is gone or very close to it, why the shops that survived are hanging on by their fingernails, at least the ones that are relying on new comics every week, and why the thing that broke everything was the one promise covers were supposed to keep. And once you see it, you're never going to look at Marvel or DC covers the same way again. Hey, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and tap the bell for notification. It helps us grow and it helps us make more videos just like this one. To understand how we got here, you have to remember what covers were originally designed to do. In the Golden Age, covers were simple, eye-catching illustrations designed to grab the attention of passersby and entice them to purchase the magazine. But they were tightly connected to the story inside. Action Comics #1 shows Superman lifting a car over his head. That exact scene happens in the book. Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, Alex Schomburg, these artists weren't just making cool posters, they were making accurate ads for the story. Through the Silver and Bronze Ages, that principle held. Thor covers with cosmic vistas actually reflected the mythic stakes inside. Green Lantern #85 put Green Arrow's sidekick on the cover, strung out on heroin, because that's what the issue was about. The cover was a contract. This is what you're buying, is what it's supposed to say. Modern Marvel and DC broke that contract. Instead of the cover selling the story, they rebuilt the system so that the cover sells just the cover. Gallery pieces, pinups, multiple versions of the same book where the only difference is which piece of unrelated art they glued on the front. Bleeding Cool, although I don't like to cite them, in this case they got it right, captured what this feels like for a new reader. Someone walks into a shop, grabs a few copies of a new series, gets home and realizes every single one is the same story with different covers. That's not marketing, that's a bait and switch. In this episode, we're going to break down how covers got divorced from story, how that divorce enabled an entire scam economy of ratio variants and blind bags, why Manga refused to go down that road, and how the broken promise at the cover level ended up nuking reader trust and comic shop margins at the same time. Let's start with the most basic part of this problem, pinup covers. A pinup cover is just gallery art. One character, usually in a flattering or sexy pose, floating in space or on a vague background with no connection to anything that actually happens in the story. It's not an ad for the plot, it's a poster stapled to the front of a comic. Here's what that means in practice for a new or casual reader. They see a cover that promises a specific costume or status quo, a dramatic action sequence, and a clear emotional tone. They buy the book expecting that story. But when they open it, they find the costume never appears, the scene never happens, the tone is completely different. The cover is functionally lying to them. Let's call it what it is, false advertising. The cover shows you one thing and delivers something else. If this happens once, the reader is annoyed. If this happens 3 or 4 times, they stop trusting covers. If this happens consistently across the line, they stop trusting the medium. At the same time, publishers are pumping out 5 to 10 variants of that exact same interior book. Research notes that cover design became increasingly intertwined with marketing and branding, with publishers using covers to promote crossover events, variant covers, and other sales tactics instead of the story it's supposed to advertise. So the cover's job quietly shifted from tell the truth about the story to maximize FOMO and short-term sales. This doesn't just confuse new readers, it actively punishes them. Meanwhile, retailers are stuck ordering all these versions because collectors want the rare ones. The variants don't communicate story, they communicate artificial scarcity. So readers lose trust in covers. Retailers get trapped in a numbers game, and the actual stories, the reason comics exist, become almost irrelevant to how the product is marketed. That's the pinup problem. Once you break the cover story link, it becomes incredibly easy to turn covers into pure speculation tools. And that's exactly where Marvel and DC are right now. The core concept of this episode is simple. Honest marketing builds long-term reader trust. Dishonest marketing builds short-term spikes and long-term collapse. Historically, covers were honest. They functioned like movie posters. They showed you the tone, the stakes, and often a key scene from the story itself. Readers would look at the cover and know what kind of story they were buying, what mood to expect, and who the issue was about. That's why the Golden, Silver, and Bronze Ages could sustain decades of reader loyalty. You knew what you were getting. Contrast that with the modern system, where the cover is designed first and foremost to sell itself as a collectible object. Instead of asking what's the best way to advertise a story, publishers are asking what's the best way to generate a variant chase. Honest marketing does three things. It sets expectations accurately, it rewards the reader for taking a chance, and it makes it easier for them to buy again because they trust the signal. Dishonest marketing does the opposite. It sets false expectations, it punishes curiosity, and it trains readers not to trust a signal or to avoid the medium entirely. This is the same reason movie posters, book covers, and TV episode previews rarely lie about what the content is. If they do, audiences revolt. They leave bad reviews. They stop watching. Comics are the outlier. The only way Marvel and DC got away with this is because they quietly changed who the real customer was. Covers stopped being honest advertising for readers. They became speculative chips for collectors. Once your marketing is no longer for the people actually reading the stories, the entire incentive structure shifts. You don't have to tell the truth. You don't have to trigger FOMO hard enough to get someone or anyone to buy one more copy of the same interior. Honest marketing is what other mediums do to build decades-long fandom. Speculative marketing is what comics used to build the 1990s bubble, and what they're using again now. Before we dig in, do you need a thriller where the heroes are villains and the apocalypse is the plan? The Revelation cycle throws ordinary man Kyle Jacobs into a hidden war against his protectors. The Antichrist is rising, and the celestial beings want him to succeed. Who can you trust when the only way to save the world is to defy the heavens? Stop scrolling, grab the book right now, click the link below, and start the cycle. Now let's get back to the video. Professional wrestling is a scripted medium that markets itself like a sport. And its entire business model depends on one thing. The card has to be honest. When WWE advertises Wrestler A versus Wrestler B for the championship, the fans who buy tickets expect to see that match. They know the outcome is predetermined, sure, but the promised matchup almost always happens. If something changes, say an injury or a visa issue, who knows, they announce the change. They explain it. They don't just silently swap the main event and pretend nothing happened. Imagine if wrestling did what comics do with covers. The poster says we have a title match, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. You buy a ticket, you show up, you get a backstage promo and a tag match between mid-carders. The original main event never happens. How long would you keep buying tickets if that happened to you? That's the situation comics have created. Covers routinely promise specific characters, costumes, or events that never occur in the issue. They function like match cards, and unlike wrestling, there's no apology, no explanation, and no make good. The research highlights that comics once worked like wrestling in this regard. Cover as accurate card for the story. But modern cover design abandoned that for gimmicks. Wrestling promoters learned early that fan trust in the advertising card was non-negotiable. Comics used to understand that equivalent. Then they quietly traded that trust for a speculative side hustle built on variant scarcity. The result? Wrestling built massive global brands, comics built a bubble that burst and reformed and is now shrinking. Soap operas are another long-running serialized storytelling medium, but their covers are TV promos, TV guide write-ups, and streaming thumbnails. Those promos almost always tell the truth. Today, person X discovers a secret about person Y. This week, the custody battle explodes, whatever it happens to be. The specific hook they advertise is the specific hook you get in the episode. They have to do that because their audience is casual, high churn, and routine based. If you lie to them about what's in Tuesday's episode, they just don't come back for Wednesday. Modern comics pretend they're doing soap opera style serial storytelling while marketing with casino logic. The promise isn't, here's the big emotional beat this issue is about. It's, here's a random sexy pose by a popular character on a variant we printed 1 out of 50 so you feel like you're missing out. Soap operas kept their marketing focused on plot and character beats. Comics shifted their marketing to format gimmicks and speculative FOMO. And when you look at which medium held general audience attention longer and which one burned through its dedicated infrastructure, it's not hard to see which side made the better choice. Manga is the cleanest counterexample to everything Marvel and DC are doing. Manga publishers start from a completely different assumption. The cover and spine exist to tell the truth about the story. Genre, tone, target audience, they're all clearly communicated on the cover. Research notes that it's extremely important for manga covers to convey genre and intended audience right away. When you pick up a volume, you can tell it's shonen or shoujo or seinen or josei just by looking at it. That's not an accident. That's design philosophy. Then there's the spine design. Series like Vagabond put a different character on every volume, designed so that when the books are lined up, the spines form a continuous illustration across the entire run. Detective Conan puts Conan's head on every spine, creating visual consistency across dozens of volumes. Other series do similar tricks, spines that form patterns, mosaics, color gradients. Manga spine design rewards you for completing the story. It turns a full run into a beautiful object. Western comics treat completion like a punishment. Renumbered series, endless relaunches, and a wall of mismatched trade dress and random variant covers that look worse together than they do apart. Most importantly, manga marketing is honest. The cover mood matches the interior. The characters on the front actually appear in the volume. The implied genre is the actual genre. When you buy volume 3 because their cover feels like the story you want, that's what you get. The honest contract is why manga readers feel safe investing in 20, 30, even 70 volume series. They know the cover isn't lying to them. Marvel and DC readers, on the other hand, are trained to second guess every cover and every number one. So remember when we mentioned in the beginning that your shops were closing and this broken promise of covers is a big part of that? Here's why. The broken promise at the cover level didn't hurt a few collectors. It rewired the entire market around speculation, and that destroyed the two pillars the industry needed to survive and thrive: reader trust and retailer stability. When covers stopped being honest ads for story and became speculative objects, three things happened at once. Readers learned not to trust what they see on the front. Retailers were pressured to overorder books based on variant ratios, not genuine demand. And publishers started reading inflated diamond orders as proof of success, even when nobody actually wanted the comics. Research documents retailers being forced into ridiculous positions. And when we say forced, we mean to get what they're trying to do to make money instead of nobody's holding a gun to their head. So let's not get ridiculous about the word forced. When you have 1 in 25, 1 in 50, even 1 in 700 ratio variants requiring shops to order hundreds of copies of a book just to access a single premium cover they could flip at a huge price to stay afloat. Those extra copies, they don't represent actual readers. They're unsold inventory, false demand injected into the system. So publishers think a book is a hit at 25,000 sales when maybe 15,000 people actually want to read it. Readers feel lied to by covers. Retailers feel forced into over-ordering schemes. Publishers convince themselves nothing is wrong, right up until the bubble pops and half the shops are gone, just like in the 1990s. The broken promise is simple. Covers used to say, here's the story you're buying. Now they say, here's the gamble you're buying. Once that shift happens, readers aren't customers anymore, they're marks. Retailers aren't partners, they're collateral damage. And that's how you end up in a world where it feels normal that your local comic shop is disappearing. So how do you fix this? You don't need a 200-page white paper, you need 3 changes, all of which already exist in other mediums. Fix number 1, restore cover integrity. Covers must depict the actual story, not just characters who appear inside in some fancy pose. The tone, the stakes, and the genre of that specific issue must match. If the cover shows a battle, the battle better be in the book. If the cover implies a major status change, it needs to actually happen. Fix number 2, make spine design a reward for readers, not speculators. Borrow from manga. Design spines so complete runs look good on a shelf. A continuous image, a consistent series mark, a clear volume number. Make the long-term collector value about owning and displaying a complete story, not about flipping a 1 in 100 variant in week 1. Fix number 3, kill speculative variants that don't serve the story. Variants that exist only to create artificial scarcity, like a 1 in 50 pinup, or a blind bag lottery cover, or a 1 in 700 chase incentive need to go. It's toxic, it's destructive, and it's not helping anybody. It's all it's doing is destroying the industry. If a variant cover doesn't communicate a different but honest angle on the same story, or meaningfully enhance the collected object, like a unified spine set, it's not marketing, it's a scam. Every other successful storytelling medium already does this. Movies, novels, manga, they all rely on honest marketing and long-term trust. Comics did too, up to a point, but up until only the day they decided the cover didn't have to tell the truth anymore. Now, over the last 6 episodes, we've diagnosed a disease one piece at a time. Episode 1 showed us that wrestling solved the storytelling problem that comics abandoned. Episode 2 broke down how format shapes the stories you can tell. Episode 3 exposed the friction that keeps new readers out. Episode 4 revealed the comic shop trap that slowly strangled the entire industry. And Episode 5 proved that stories only matter when change is real and permanent. And now we have Episode 6, this episode. It just showed you how covers became marketing lies instead of story promises, which broke reader trust and destroyed retailer stability. But here's the thing, understanding the problems individually isn't enough. We've mapped out everything that's broken, now we need to put the blueprint together to create a comprehensive fix. Episode 7 is where we assemble all of this into a comprehensive plan. Not theoretical, not aspirational, actionable. We're going to take wrestling's sustainable revenue model, including rights fees, not shop dependency, manga's accessible format, including seasons, not perpetual relaunches, soap opera's character continuity, which includes aging, growth, and natural succession, and the cover integrity we just exposed, which means honest marketing that serves readers. We're going to show exactly how one publisher, starting with DC, could rebuild from the ground up. Because the real scandal isn't that Marvel and DC are trapped. The scandal is that the escape route exists. Every tool, every principle, every solution is already proven. Other mediums are doing this right now. Japan figured it out decades ago. Wrestling's been doing it for years. Soap operas have been steady for 60 years. DC just has to choose to be the first American publisher brave enough to actually walk through that exit. That's Episode 7, the complete blueprint. Not fixing one thing, fixing everything. If you want to keep the conversation going and get the industry truth before anyone else, I invite you to subscribe to the Comical Opinions newsletter. Every week you'll get exclusive links to comic reviews, my raw weekly insights on the comic industry's biggest decisions, and more delivered straight to your inbox. It's the best way to support the channel and stay informed. You can sign up using the first link in the description below. It's completely free. Now, go read comics, but read wisely. I'll see you next time for more Comical Opinions.